The three videos that you're about to see, depends on how you're watching this. If you're watching, you can obviously do the timestamps and choose which video you want to. But the three videos, that are within this video, are about me analyzing certain plants. And obviously, pretending to do this. So, the stuff that I talk about isn't really real, factual, all those kind of things, but it is me pretending and having fun, when I was little. And I do change my voice in these videos. I hope that you enjoy the interesting stuff I have to say, kind of the wild, made up stuff I have to say about these plants, which are not really based on any real factual evidence. But, they're neat, and I was having fun doing that. And I was pretending to analyze plants and, walk the audience through these different plants. So I do hope that you enjoy.
And I enjoy breathing. And I got a wonderful treasure out of my garden the other day. This is a very interesting plant. This is something called cactus plant. And you see these green little stems. These are called cacti lizardless. And that means that the cacti lizardless was born in the lizard family. And it is a very real treat to work with cacti. But I found this out of my garden, and I was astonished when I found this. Now, you can see these pricklies. Now, the reason those pricklies is because cactus. You've probably been to the desert, and you saw cacti that had pricklies on them. And you want to be really careful, because when I traveled to the desert, I look around, but I don't look very carefully. And whenever I put my finger out, I get a little scab on my finger that is a cacti. But this one seems to be not a scab at all, because the little sharp marks are very, very loose and very untightly. So this is a type of plant which is recently made on display. Now this plant can be found in the French Riviera, in the gardens of your dreams, or it could be found in a nice cactus plant with nice secundae filling of a forest of cacti, or it can be found near the seaside, on the sea, where that would be no sense, because cacti are not on the sea. But I never heard of a cacti fish. Now, a cacti fish can communicate, but the cacti fish is not the nicest fish. The teeth are sharp, and it can really scare you and snatch you and gobble you up. So you want to be really careful around cacti fishes, cacti lizards, cacti snakes, anything fish-wise that's cacti. So this is a cacti plant, and the real rhyme or reason why this is a cacti plant is because the soil underneath keeps it from growing in the summer to the fall time. This is a plant that was made in very little attics, because some of these leaves are smaller than the ones underneath. So, I know you must not thinking, but this leaf is not appropriate for a little simple forest leaf, because this leaf is way too exotic. Now, whenever I go to Hawaii, you might find this in Hawaii, or you might find it, but it's very popular in Hawaii, and you can either make a wonderful recipe, a cacti curry. You could either get out the sharpness and use what's left inside to make a cacti leaf. And this is great for many things, especially making a cake, cacti cake. No, there's no such thing. Now, you don't use the pricklies. Now, you really have to be careful when you have cacti cake, because if the cook misses the little pricklies, there's going to be sores around your tongue. Now, this is my tongue. And if you put your sores on your tongue, it's going to hurt for many times, and then you're going to have to deal with a lot of other things. So, this is a plant that grows very nicely. The soil underneath keeps it warm in the summer, winter, fall, and spring. But in the winter time, it's cold, you can't grow anything, this, that. I know people saying that they can't grow it, but here is a way you can grow it. This is some water. This is just a full cup of water now. Now, what you want to do is this, you want to pour the water into a nice little mug, a jug, and then leave it there for a night. And after it is done, this is what it looks like after just 1 second. You want to scrape, just take little bits of soil and put it in. And then you put your plant in, and the water has a spell in there. I put some beet seeds, and the reason I'm doing beet seeds is because beet seeds help this plant survive. So sprinkle a little soil in the sunshine, and then put it out for eternity. Now, after you do that, you obviously want to warm the water ahead of time, so the water will not stick. Now, you let the excess water fall onto your tray, then the soil will be left behind, and then this leaf will be saved. Now, this cacti is not going to be the best, because if you save this out, then you need to really be careful. Now, all I do is I sprinkle some soil on the tops of the cacti, or the bottoms. And then what that does is it puts a little wall cup there. So you leave a cup there for twice an hour. Then, when you're ready to serve the cacti, you take the cup off, look inside. If there's any soil in there, then that is not very good, because the soil in this plant comes from food desert. Food deserts are not the best things to do, because they have many junk things, and the sand came from that, and if you put it in, that will lead you very safe, and you will get very sick, because this is mixed with poison, blood from a fish, cold-blooded sweat, and it's made from manure. So you don't want to mess with the soil. That is very unappealing and very unappetizing to eat. So these leaves grow in the fall time, and this grows in the spring, and everything gets toned out nicely. So to put this leaf in somewhere desolate, I take this leaf and I put it outside. Now, the reason I want to do it outside is because outside is cold. The water is cold, and the outside is colder than I've ever mentioned. So, what we want to do is we're going to stick it out there, and then it'll sit up in the outside and be nice and tender in the inside. So, there we have it. To save cacti from its very unabandoned figures with the sharpies, which you really want to be careful with those. This is going to be something that you can make for millions of days. You can make a lot of these. I have many varieties of produce. And you can do the same exact thing with water, soil, and put it in a cacti plant. That is my tip of the day of how to save a glorious, left alone, abandoned cacti plant. And until I see you and you got so again, I am Junie Craven. Wound. Wound, I am living Midway. And today I am standing in front of a very elegant plant. And this is a table with pine cones and just fake flowers. And this table has a selection of fake flowers. These are some red, and we have some basil leaves, and we have some pine cones. So this is a big success to put on a grocery label, on a Bisbee label, because this plate was awarded in 1779 in the elusive Republic, and it has many things to appreciate because these flowers are from a maple Mediterranean. And a maple Mediterranean with a Mayo Mediterranean, that makes the language easier. This comes from the Mayo Mediterranean. This flower comes from the Meadow Mediterranean. And these nuts are used for doing. So this stuff is all made from nature. And this plate is especially a lovely plate with pine cones. And because this plate is so famous, it's because Christmas is a famous time for nature and leaves, because as you know, the leaves fall off the trees when it gets colder, it's wintertime. But in one town called Barora, it is not the same, because in Italy it is different, because in the summer, in the winter, in the fall, the trees shine beautifully. So it is in Taiwan, or maybe Tokyo, or maybe Japan, probably. And these come from nature. Of course, I was telling you about that. I mentioned to you earlier. And the nuts are made from the bones, or the squirrels. And the squirrels are very crazy because they love nuts. They are addicted to nuts. So how can you make nuts very unusual? Well, all you can do is you can put this in a hidden place with all your other ingredients, or you could just take out the nuts and throw them away if you like them, and put the nuts in a separate container, and leave the shells behind. So that's a really good tip on nuts. Now this is a plate that is elegant and discreet, and this is a very earthy plant. This leaf is a little cilantro leaf. I didn't know they used that, but you could also use dill, but just dill that is in this variety of shape. Now these pine cones here are brown, and they have lovely heirlooms and lovely brown spots, and they have lovely little brown prickles which fairies like to land on to sleep. And the reason is because sometimes when you're going up volcanoes, there is an eruption, because as you know, volcanoes erupt. And these do too, because all the thing, or the liquid, or the syrup, or the poison, or ivy, anything that is harmless comes out, and it gives you a bite or a thistle on your finger, and you don't want that. And this plant has a very impeccable bee, and the bee is looking right at everybody and saying, I know what to do. But you want to avoid that, so all you can need to do is you can put a coffee lid to make the bee never go away. And the bee, as you know, bugs have no hands or legs, so they cannot come out. So all you do to avoid that is you flick it down. Now, I wouldn't break the pine cone. This is a very delicate work of art. Put it down, and bee kills really slow. So you put it down for a long time to try to kill the bee. and the bee can't get out to not be killed. And the bee wishes right now, when I'm killing him, he has hands and legs, but bees don't. I killed the bee. That's disgusting, even though I killed it. And you can do the same, because this is a pine cone that has a bee, a magical bee, and the bee has very sharp claws, very sharp legs, and very sharp pincers on the legs, which will kill your hands, and very sharp eyes, and very sharp teeth, especially for a lizard or a very sharp sea animal would be even more dangerous. So I'm gonna show you how to do that one more time so you get it. All you do is you put a coffee lid, like I did, and I throw the other beaten out into my little compost, and all I need to do is I need to push this down and then kill the bee. So sit down first, twice as much, to make it kill. Okay, and the bee cannot come out unless you put the bee very close to your arms. And I am mine, but I'm kidding it. Is it killed? Not quite. Alright, is it killed? Yeah, it's killed. So, that is a very good tip for them, but this is something different. This is called Old Martha, and it has a very this is for the poison oak and poison ivy. You don't want that. And this has another bee, two baby bees, and the mother is having a bee. And the baby does not know how to communicate, so it can suck your blood, like sea animals. And then all you do is poison oak is going to host the bee, and it's going to make the bee growl and foul, but you can't hear much. So this is poison oak. Now I wouldn't rub this on your face or your eyes, because then it'll get puffed up and you will never see anything again. So, there. Manovita! So there we go. Killed two of the bees. And if you want, you can take that coffee lid and do the same thing. There. See no bee alive. And that's a very good technique. Now this is not harmful. This is an edible product, but the only thing that's harmful is the main fruit. Now some of these have white stuff on it. You see little white specks. Poison ivy. Yuck. And to get that off, I take a clean piece of paper, just anything, and then put it around the plant to take all the little poison off. It doesn't have to be, so hold it there for 5 seconds. And your plant is going to be wrinkled after you do it, but you can straighten it out or get another plant pretty soon after you do that. So, you take it off, and see, poison ivy is on there right now. So it's itch if you feed it. And there you go. See, no poison ivy. And I'll show you the same thing again. So on the bottom is where the poison ivy lands. It goes up to here. And all you want to do is you want to take that coal leaf, hold it with one hand, and put the coal leaf around the other. Take it, and do left right hand, and then put this around. With a helping hand, what we do is do that the same. This one's not going to resist me. This is poison oak. Poison ivy and poison oak. And I told you it was cilantro, but I didn't mean actually cilantro. I don't know. I don't mean what I'm saying. Okay, so here's the poison ivy. Throw it out. It is disgusting. Now, you could either have several different things besides all of your ingredients. And you could either crack nuts and leave those crazy skulls aside if you think that's more important, or you think this is more important, trying to kill those harmful bees or trying to get all the poison ivy off of just pretty leaves. So that's all today on my tip of the day of saving wonderful little nuts and a edible walk of oat. So until I see you in your guts again, I'm Joni Craven. Wood. I am Joni Craven, and right here is a very interesting plant. This is something called a Dandelion susume, and the word means ere, and the word susume means a humongous, vibrant plant. And this plant is found in a gourmet tropical forest in Antarctica, where the Mediterranean, the Italian Mediterranean, and this is a wonderful plant that is a big plant, but is a kind of plant which you don't want to ruin. And you don't want to cut up, you don't want to wrinkle, you don't want to curl around, you don't want to have things falling out in little dollops or big dollops. So this plant right here is a very interesting plant because there's two parts to this. And I'm going to show you the two parts. Now here we have some loose noodle leaves. These are something called loose noodle leaves. And the loose noodle leaves is a green and white. And the reason is because there was a plant in here. There was a baby animal laying inside this plant. And these plants holded the baby animal. So the reason why they painted it white and green is because he's screaming, and I'm not going to scream for you. And these leaves right here are called lizard pokers. And the reason why they're called lizard pokers is because this is a leaf to be flattened out. Now, this is called a plant that comes alive and it goes throughout the house, beyond. And these plants really hurt, and they scare me if they were alive, but they're not alive. And these have dead lizards. This is a dead lizard, and I don't know if you can see that, but there's some eyes there and a mouth there. And this is the same thing, because this little shed here is called a pea pod. And because it's a pea pod, it has little beans, fava beans. And they're laying here, they're laying in the plant, and they're hibernating, and they're trying to get away from these plants, because that's why these plants are, because there's a lot of baby things in this plant. This plant is packed with little animals. And they're making sounds, and they're making a sound, and they're making a huff sound or a shush sound, and it sounds like a snake, but it's not that severe. And this part is called lookout eyeball. The fins are on top of a black strap, and the reason it's very descriptive is because these leaves here are made for many types of scariness. The plant gets big, and then the plant gets small. The plant gets big, and then the plant gets small, because it goes into such unlonely places, and they get small every 30 seconds, and that's why this is called Cilantropia. And now this is the scary part. Now this is the leaf when it's getting bigger, and here it's getting smaller, so it kind of scares you when it gets bigger. And this leaf is something called a Arduso leaf. Now they're all the same, but they have different viewpoints. Now this is called a snake leaf, and you see what I told you about earlier. The leaf was getting small, and then it gets big. And this is a little baby leaf that is small, and then it gets a little bigger. It starts out kind of medium rare or small. And the design comes from watermelon skins. And the reason they did this is because there was a watermelon growing at the bottom of this plant, and it worked its way all the way up. It worked its way from here to 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 here until it came to the top and created skin. Once it got big enough, it created a very interesting design. And it's interesting because it's like that. And this is some more leaves. This is a flapping wings leaf. This is an owl leaf. And I would say an owl leaf because the color is not an owl leaf. This is something called wing string ring. And it has a gray that comes from the skins, gray bubbles. And this is, remember that watermelon skins, but it has a very interesting design. This has a design of some great snake spinach design with some nice green apple maple seed touches pureed in a zucchini or zucchini. And this is a bamboo lake. Now, I'm very surprised that there were some people in 1790. They were in China, in northeastern China, and a panda had a bamboo, and he didn't like it because the taste tasted like very bitter. It tasted like a tea leaf. Pandas hate tea leaves. And it had a mixture of wasps, bees, and many other types of things. So this got spit out. And it looks really beautiful on the outside, but inside, it's just unappealing. And this plant grows happily and unhappily when it gets up to here and up to here. This is the happy life. This is the scary life. That's why all the scary things live up top. And be careful because they may want to get under your face. And this is some very nice, interesting others. This is more plants. And like I told you, these are all the fava beans. This is a fava bean eduso. That's why it's like that. And the bottom has a mixture of the geosphere and the biosphere because of all the dirt and the rocks. And this rock is something called a tan bunny rock. And the tan bunny rock comes from, of course, the bunny leather custom. And the rock broke, and it created this types of an idea. And this is from northeastern Siberia and northeastern China because of the bamboo, and from northeastern Galilee. The soil has some pintos and some popcorn kernels mixed in with some lovely little synecdoche and others as well. And this is a very interesting plant. And this has some flowers on it, which is kind of like a tannish ametia. And this is another thing, and these flowers come from Alicia Barty, the opera singer. There's one in Thomas, and there's surely to be one in somewhere else in the world. And this is something to keep the plant alive, because this plant can come alive if you take one of the most scary elements, and it can bite you and eat you and do all that evil stuff. That is not going to happen if you do not touch this post. You can touch this post, but you can never ever touch this or this. You can touch the bamboo, but don't crack a hole and touch inside. It is disgusting as poison ivy and poison oak. And a way to get rid of all the yucky stuff from all the other things we just talked about, pour water, because all the plants and animals hate water because they're afraid of wet. Well, we're not, but they are. So all you do is you pour water on each scaly leaf. Scale all the plants, and that will make them die. And don't pour too much like I just did. And those other leaves are fine, but you need to pour water around little drizzles each element, please. And then you need to pour water along the gossamer, because the babies always grow, and you need to pour water on the bamboo because you save all those yuckies. And for this extra stuff, you can save this. Now pour out all the water like a shiny tip glass. There. Don't make it tipsy. So now what you're going to do is you're going to loosen all the wrinkles and the curves, and then squeeze and tap. And that will put the water in like a tap into an audience. And then you just spread more water and then tap again. And that prevents you from having to do this, because if you just drizzle like this, more water, less water won't come out of the plant readily. So a very big sponsor is the stems. And the stems are very, very bitter tasting. They taste like ivy ginger. And ivy ginger tastes like crud. And it tastes like the desert. Very unpleasant. And a way to avoid that is to wrinkle the leaves into hardness. And all that mixture will start to evaporate, and you see little crumbs falling down. But don't shake those other leaves. So shake all the leaves and do a little instrument drum, and then shake them again, and that will prevent you from having to loosen all the ledgers inside the plant. Now you don't want to loosen it so fast that the leaves will fall off, because the reason we're doing this is because we don't want to have that plant from doing the same thing. So shake it, and that'll put, now look how many crumbs, there's a jillion crumbs. And this plant is a zucchajala mixed in with yellow squash. And this plant is a happy plant, but it's not happy. It gets mad a lot. So all you do is you just tone it, and that'll make it happier. Don't do it real fast, otherwise the plant inside will not be happy. And I know it doesn't seem like very good, but there's if you look inside the plant, there, but the plant, there's a germ in this plant, which means that all the plants up here or down there are invisible. We just can't see them, like germs, and they're all germs in this plant, and that is exactly what's in there. So just twirl it around, and then while you're doing that, do all the hefties, do all the ledgers, and that'll loosen your waist. And then loosen it, and see how many crumbs fell down. Poison and crud and gook. So this is a beautiful plant, but there's some severe moments, and I know what they are. To the top, to the tip top, to the very lonely bottom. And these are some wonderful little things you can do to save a net pine if you have nothing to do in your days with all the non-commercial work. So I hope you enjoyed learning how to save a big dandelion lizard plant with a bamboo stick and a yellow zucchini, yellow and orange squash, nevertwabita. And until I see you in the grass again, I'm Joni Craven. Woot!